Hi, my name is Steph. This might seem kind of wild, but I am doing my manifesto on Tiger King. Unfortunately, this manifesto will not be about if Carol Baskin killed her husband. It will be about the justice for the tigers at the Greater Winewood Exotic Animal Park, also known as the GW Zoo, Myrtle Beach Safari, Wildlife in Need, and Big Cat Rescue. I'm calling on the people of Ethical Treatment of Animals, also known as PETA, National Tiger Sanctuary, and associations alike to save the tigers who are still being held captive, being bred and sold in these zoos. There are more than 10,000 big cats being held captive in the U.S. compared to the 3,900 tigers that are in the wild today. There are multiple things wrong with the tigers being held captive in these zoos. First, the managers of these zoos are taking wild animals and humanizing them for human enjoyment. Tigers are classified as wild animals and are not meant to live inside cages and do party tricks. Next, the cubs are torn away from their mother at birth and live a life of stress and abuse, while humans get 5 seconds to pet them for their enjoyment. Once they are too big for these types of encounters, they are sold in pet trade or they are killed. Joe Exotic, the owner of the GW Zoo, was charged with shooting 5 of his tigers because they were too old for people to pet. Likewise, it is speculated that Doc Antel, the owner of Myrtle Beach Safari, has cremated his tigers as he has a cremation site on his property, but he is yet to be charged with anything. Next, these tigers are not being fed what they would need to survive in the wild, which is where they are meant to be. They are not even being fed something a human would eat, except maybe some of the workers on the show. These tigers were being fed roadkill the workers would find and expired meat from Walmart. In the wild, tigers can eat up to 100 pounds of meat in a sitting and then fast for days. On average, a tiger in the wild should be consuming 10 to 25 pounds of meat a day. Were the tigers getting this much at these zoos? Most likely not. This is just one of the injustices these tigers endured. I've not even talked about the abuses these tigers have endured from their managers and owners, let alone some of the tigers fought back and attacked their workers. In one case, a worker got their arm ripped open by one of the tigers in the cage, and they had to get their hand amputated. This is just one of the cases that has happened. Now you will ask, what happened to the tigers when Joe Exotic went to jail and Jeff Lowe's did not have enough money to build a new zoo? In a lawsuit with PETA, 19 of the tigers were transferred from the GW Zoo to the Colorado Sanctuary. Less than a month later, the sanctuary staff from Colorado went back to save 20 more tigers and 3 black bears. These tigers are now getting wide open enclosures in a formulated diet. At the Colorado Sanctuary, visitors are not allowed to touch the animals and breeding is prohibited. In another recent lawsuit, Carol Baskin was awarded the GW Zoo that once belonged to Joe Exotic, and also Jeff Lowe's after he went to jail. Carol claims to be an activist for the tigers and runs Big Cat Rescue, although she continues, just like the other zoos, to keep the tigers in small cages and not feed them enough food for proper diet. There is currently no direct federal law prohibiting the ownership of these dangerous exotic animals. A bill introduced in the U.S. Senate of Representatives in 2019 was called the Big Cat Public Safety Act, and it would restrict the possession, exhibition, and direct contact the public can have with big game cats. To fix this problem, this bill should be put in place because, obviously speaking, there should not be more tigers held captive in the U.S. than living in the wild. I call on foundations like PETA to remove these tigers from zoos and rehabilitate them into living in the wild. Tigers should not be kept as pets. They need to be in wide open spaces to live with other species around them. Further, there's a call to all private zoos alike that are breeding and not giving the animals the space that they need to move and roam around in their environment. Animals like this should not be kept in small cages. This is a strong call to free these animals and put them back into their natural habitat. Thank you.